All right, for Algebra 8.6, your notes are going to be a new formula that is going to be really tricky at first, but we're going to do it so many times today that by the end of this lesson, I hope you get it, but I would definitely be ready to pay close attention. So if you need to get a snack first or do something that's going to give you some brain power, you will need it. This is not going to be a video where you can kind of doze off and halfway watch it. You're going to need to watch it and be writing it with me and practicing it with me in order for it to really click with you. So we are factoring just like 8.5's lesson, except that we are going to have a number here. And yesterday's lesson did not have a number here. It had just x squared, maybe plus 4x plus 18 or something like that. Today, we're actually going to put a number out in front. So everything we did yesterday won't exactly work the same way. So take a look at this first problem. 5x squared plus 11x plus 2. If this was 8.5's lesson, we wouldn't even look at the first a term. We would have just said, what do we multiply to get 2 and add to get 11? And think about that. Is there anything you can multiply to get 2 that you can also use to add to make 11? No, because the only thing you can multiply to get 2 is 2 and 1. And 2 and 1 can never be made into 11 by adding. So the reason that doesn't work today is because we also have to take the 5 into consideration. So I'm going to show you a method that is different than the method they have here. If you like setting up tables and working through all the factors and trying to figure it out this way, please read this section carefully. It works it out with you. It pulls out the greatest common factor. It does make sense to like reverse distribute it that way, and it is all great and fine. I, though, am going to teach you a different method that will work every single time. So instead of having to learn it this way on this section and the way that the book has it for this way on the next section and so on, I'm going to show you one method that will work with every single one of these. So it is going to be called the, I think it's called the diamond method. I didn't make it up, so I don't really know if you were out there Google searching it, what to look up, but I think it's called the diamond method. And the basics of the diamond method are this. You make an X, and we're gonna fill in all 4 sections of this like diamond area. And what you're gonna put up top is whatever your A term is times your C term. So let me review with you. This is my A term, this is my B term, and this is my C term, because A always comes first, then B, then C. So you would multiply 5x squared times 2, and that would go up here. In the bottom is where you would put your B term, so that would be our 11x. Okay, so stick with me here. A times C goes up here, B goes down here. So if I was doing this with this problem, which I will, I'll do it down here. Oh, actually I won't. I don't have enough room. I'll do it over here. We would be multiplying 5x squared times 2 and put it up here. We would just move 11x and put it down here. Now, in the left and right, you are going to put whatever your A term is with an x in a top part of a fraction. So you would put ax over, ax over. That goes in both. And then what you put on the bottom depends. You're going to look at what you can multiply to get this answer and add to get this answer. And once you figure out what you can multiply to get here and add to get here, those are the numbers that go down here. Okay, so I know this makes no sense yet. I promise it's okay. Just leave this in your notes and let's try this. And once you see it in motion, hopefully it'll make more sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and do your little diamond. I'm talking about this example problem right here. So let's do 5x squared times 2 and put it up top. So 5x squared times 2 is 10x squared. All right, I'm going to put my B term in the bottom. So 11x is going to go down here. Seems like a lot, but once we practice this like 10 times today, you're going to be a pro at it. Okay, and then you're going to take your A with an X and put it on top, and an A with an X and put it on top. So remember, my A term is 5, and I'm going to leave an X with it. So I'm going to put 5x over, 5x over. All right, now here's how we determine what goes on the denominators. We're going to try to see what you can multiply to get 10x squared, and those same two numbers have to be two numbers that if I add them, I get 11x. So let's think of my factors of 10 that when I add them, I'm going to get 11. The only factors of 10 are 10 and 1, which does equal 11, or 5 and 2, which does not equal 11. 5 times 2 is 10, but 5 plus 2 is 7, so it's not that. So it is going to be 10 and 1. So I want you to understand that 10 and 1 go on the denominator because 10 times 1 is 10, and 10 plus 1 is 11. So how we determined what goes on the bottom is we see what multiplied to get this number and what added to get this number. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We're almost done, I promise. Now that we have figured out our answer, this becomes our focus, the two fractions. Can you simplify either one of these fractions? The 5 and 1, no, you cannot. So that one's done. But 5 and 10, this fraction can both be simplified by dividing both numbers by 5. So I would just cross it off and simplify it. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And look at that. I don't know if you guys realize this yet, but we have our answer. This and this become your two sets of parentheses. So this is, and you read it left to right, which I know that right now it looks like it's in fraction form, but I want you to start looking at it after we've simplified the fraction. Read it kind of swervy from left to right. So that's a 1x and a positive 2. So you're going to write 1x plus 2. And in this set of parentheses, it's 5x and positive 1. So it's going to be 5x plus 1. Okay, I know this seems like so much work. It's actually not. And the better you get at it, the quicker it's going to be to determine our final answer. And I also want you to know that this is not the only method. I'm choosing to teach this method because it works for every single one of the factoring questions that we're going to encounter in Algebra 1. But it is not the only way to do it. Like I said, you can still come up with your factors and see what works. You can do guess and check. Maybe you are really good at guessing that 2 times 1 is going to be 2, and then outsides and insides if you FOIL it, and if you do last times last, that you just knew it was going to be x plus 2 and 5x plus 1, and that's awesome. I am not that good at math in my head, so I need a method like this diamond method that works every time, so I don't have to be thinking through guessing and checking. So it is up to you. If you're a good guesser and checker, feel free to just play with numbers and see that when you when you FOIL this, you need to end up with 5x squared plus 11x plus 2. So basically reversing it to get these two binomials multiplied is what we're looking to do. We're factoring it into two sets of parentheses. Okay, we need to try this a lot. So get ready to just start trying this on your own. Or with me, just kidding. I won't make you do it on your own. I know it says you try, but let me keep doing it with you. So let's do this diamond method again. This is my A term, this is my B term, this is my C term. Don't forget. So in the top, it's A times C. So 6x squared times 5. 6x squared times 5 is 30x squared. B goes in the bottom. My B term is 13x. All right, over here we make a fraction with whatever A is, keep one of the x's with it, and put it over on the top part of a fraction. So 6x over, 6x over. All right, now what can we multiply to get 30 and add to get 13? Multiply to get 30, add to get, multiply to get 30, add to get 13. So I'm thinking 6 plus 5. Or 6 times 5. 6 times 5 is 30. Is 6 plus 5 13? No, it's 11. So not 6 and 5. 3 and 10. 3 and 10. 3 times 10 is 30. 3 plus 10 is 13. There it is, 3 and 10. So it doesn't matter if you put the 3 here and the 10 here, or if you want to put the 10 here and the 3 here. It does not matter. All right, we're almost done, but you have to look at your fraction and see if you can simplify first. So does 6 over 3 simplify? Yes, they both divide evenly by 3. So let's do it. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1. That's our first set of parentheses done. 6 and 10 simplify. 6 and 10 both divide evenly by 2, so let's do it. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's our second set of parentheses, squiggly like reading it left to right if that makes sense. So our final answer is parentheses 2x, that's a positive 1, so 2x plus 1, times that's 3x and a positive 5, so 3x plus 5. Okay, if you want to check this by foiling it or using the box method, please do. That's the only way to check to make sure that it comes out to be 6x squared plus 13x plus 5. So we basically unfoiled it to come up with our two binomials. All right, let's keep going. I mean, if you want to push pause and actually try this one on your own, that would be awesome. If not, I'll keep working these out with you. All right, so if we want to use the diamond method, A times C. So this is my A, this is my B, this is my C. A times C is 3x squared times 5. So in the top is 15x squared. In the bottom is my B, so 16x. On the sides, you have your A and one of the x's, so 3x over, 3x over. All right, now we're just trying to look and see what can we multiply to get 15 and add to get 16. So what can we multiply to get 15? 3 and 5. 3 times 5 is 15, but 3 plus 5 is not 16. So not 3 and 5. How about 15 and 1? 15 times 1 is 15. 15 plus 1 is 16. So there we go, 15 and 1. Doesn't matter if you put the 15 here and the 1 over here, or if you put the 1 over here and the 15 over here. Doesn't matter. All right, we're basically done. We just have to simplify fractions if you can. You can't simplify that one. So that one's done. But this one you can. 3 and 15 both divide evenly by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So our answer is 1x plus 5 and 3x plus 1. All right, I hope this is getting easier, but this is where I would have started showing you a new way to make a new table to solve, because now we have a plus and a minus. But I don't have to show you a new way because, like I said, this diamond method works every single time, no matter if you have positives in here or negatives or whatever. So that's why I'm choosing to show you this method. So, okay, off to the side, let's go ahead, just because we need the practice. Let's go ahead and do this one. And again, you could have done it this table method way if you want to read it and figure out how they're showing you. This works, but so does my way. So I'm going to write off to the side what we have, which is 3x squared plus 4x minus 15. Okay, so I'm going to use diamond method again on this just because I like it. Works every time. A times C, so 3x squared times negative 15. So this is now a negative 45. Wait, 30, yeah, negative 45x squared. I should probably use my calculator and make sure I'm doing all of this right. All right, then we have in the bottom our B, which is just 4x. All right, on the left and right, you put 3x over and 3x over. What can we multiply to get negative 45 and add to get 4? I don't know. 45, what makes 45? I'm going to have to write some off to the side. 9 times 5 is 45. And we can actually get a 4 out of that. I can't believe it was my first guess. 9 times 5 is 45, but we need it to be negative. So one of these is going to have to be negative. So let's think. Is it negative 9, 5, or 9 and negative 5? So both of these multiply to be negative 45, but which of them add to be positive 4? That would be negative 4 if you add them, so not that. This would be positive 4, so it's going to be this. So I need a positive 9 on one side, and I need a negative 5 on the other side. All right, now let's just look and see if we can simplify either one of these fractions. This one you cannot, so 3x minus 5 is done. But 3x over 9 can be simplified. They can both divide evenly by 9, or by 3. So that would be 1, and this would be 3. And now we're done. So 1x plus 3 is one set of parentheses. And 3x minus 5 is my other set of parentheses. Okay, and again, you could have done it by all of this factoring out the greatest common factor stuff, making a table. That all works too. I just think this method is awesome because it works every time. All right, let's keep practicing. If ever you're ready to try it on your own, push pause on the video and go ahead and try it on your own. I would love to have you practice it, but I'm going to keep going. All right, so we're looking at 10x squared plus 31x minus 14. A times C term would be, negative 140 is what that is. So this is going to be a little trickier. B term is 31x. All right, A term is 10, so 10x over, 10x over. All right, I don't know my factors of 140. I know that it's 14 and 10, but we can't add or subtract those to get 31. So I also know it would be 2 and 70, but that's not going to be 31 when you add. What else? I'm going to have to use my calculator. So 140, let's try divided by 5. 5 and 28, so 5 and 28, that's close. 28 plus 5 is close to 31, but that's not it either. So let me keep going. What about 4? 140 divided by 4. 4 and 35, let's look, 4 and 35. Yes, I can subtract 35 minus 4 to get 31. So these are going to be my two numbers. When I multiply them, I need one of them to be negative, because when I multiply a positive times a negative, that's how I'm going to get this negative. So I either need it to be 4 times negative 35 or negative 4 times positive 35. So it's going to be one of these. And I know when I add them, it needs to be positive 31. So when I add this, it'd be negative 31. But when I add this, it would be positive 31. So it's this. So I'm going to use a negative 4 on one side of my fraction and a positive 35 on the other. And we are done except for checking for simplification. So can we simplify 10 over 4? Yes, they both divide evenly by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 10 and 35 both divide evenly by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 35 divided by 5 is 7, I think. And so now we are done. 5x minus 2 and 2x, that's a positive 7, so 2x plus 7. All right, another. 4w squared times negative 3 is negative 12w squared. My b term is just 4w. We're going to put the a term over, so 4w over, 4w over. And now we need to come up with my two numbers that when I multiply, I get negative 12, and when I add, I get 4. So factors of 12. 1 and 12, no, those will not make 4 in any way. 2 and 6. Yeah, 2 and 6 will make 4. If I subtract 6 minus 2, it's 4. So these are my numbers, but I know that when I multiply, I need it to be negative. So one of these is going to have to be negative. I either want my negative 2 or a negative 6. So let's check. Both of these would make negative 12 when you multiply. Which one makes positive 4 when you add? That would be negative 4. This would be positive 4. So I need a negative 2 and a positive 6 for my answers. So negative 2 and positive 6. And now we're done, except for simplifying. So 4 and 2 both divide evenly by 2. That would be 2 and 1. And 4 and 6 both divide evenly also by 2. So that would be 2 and 3. So my answer in parentheses is 2w minus 1 and 2w, and that's positive 3. So plus 3. All right, again, anytime you want to check, foil it, box it, see if your answer after you foil or box what you got is the same thing that we started with. All right, let's look at the next page. So once again, it's another difficult thing where you have now 2 subtraction. But you can do it this whole way that it has here, but the diamond method will still work. So off to the side, I'm going to show you that even if they're both subtracting, it'll still work with my diamond method. So here is what that problem says. It says 2x squared minus 13x minus 7. All right, let's do it my way. Multiply your a and your c. So 2 times negative 7 is negative 14x squared. My b term is negative 13x. A is 2, and we're going to use 2x over, 2x over. And now we need to come up with what we can multiply to get negative 14 and add to get negative 13. There's only a few factors of 14. There's 1 and 14, and there's 2 and 7. These are the only things that you can multiply to get 14. Now, I need to get a negative 14, so technically one of these is going to have to be negative. So let's think that through too. 2 and 7, if you add it or subtract it, there's no way you're going to come up with 13. So it's not going to be 2 and 7. It's going to be 1 and 14. So it's either going to be negative 1, positive 14, or positive 1, negative 14. Let's look. Both of those would multiply to be negative 14, but which one would add to be negative 13? It is this one. When you add these, you get negative 13. So I'm going to use a 1 and a negative 14 down here. 1 and negative 14. All right, and we're done except for this one doesn't simplify, so that one's done. 2x and plus 1. This one does simplify. They'll both divide evenly by 2. So this would be 1 and this would be 7. So 1x minus 7. All right, let's keep practicing. A few more, but this is good practice. Ooh, this is going to be a big one. This is going to be a really big one. In fact, I would look at this one and see if there's anything we can factor out of all three terms first, just to make it smaller. Otherwise, we're talking about really big numbers when we're multiplying 8 and 15. But I don't think any of these have a common factor we can pull out. They don't. So we're just going to have to go with it. All right, so 8 times 15, I don't even know what that is. 8 times 15 is 120. So we have 120x squared. In the bottom, we have 22x. And then we'll put our 8x over, 8x over. All right, what can we multiply to get 120 and add to get 22? I mean, I will say at least they're both positives, so we're not going to have to worry about positive, negative stuff. All right, let's just start in. So I know it'd be 2 and 60. 2 and 60 will not be 22. 4 and 30. That's closer. 4 and 30 would be 34 or 26. Close. 10? 10? Well, what's 120 divided by 10? 120 and 10 is 12. 10 and 12? 10 and 12. 10 and 12 does make 22 when you add. So this is it. 10 times 12 is 120. 10 plus 12 is 22. So 10 and 12. Now we just have to simplify. These both divide by 2. So that would be 4 and that would be 5. These both divide by 4. So that would be 2 and 3. So the final answer is 4x plus 5 from this one times 2x plus 3 on that one. Great. Oh, okay. I guess that was that question. Okay, speaking of factoring out a number first, like I hinted at here, this very last one is teaching you how to do that. So sometimes numbers are just too big. Like 18 times 12, I mean, I could barely come up with factors of 120 that would make 22. So when you get to be this big of numbers, that means you probably have something you could have done first, which we couldn't have because we checked. But down here, you definitely can pull something out of this one first. So let me write this one off to the side so we can see it better. So 18x squared minus 33x plus 12 if I multiply 18 times 12, those are really big numbers. So I'm going to first check and see if there's a greatest common factor we can pull out of these terms first. And I believe it is going to be, what, 3? I can pull a 3 because that'd be 11. 3, 3. Let's pull out a 3. So if we pull out a 3, what you're left with is 6x squared minus 11x plus 4. And this is going to be much easier to use the diamond method. When we multiply these, it's going to be so much easier to come up with factors than these really big numbers. So let's use the diamond method and only use what we have now shortened it down to. So 6x squared times 4 is 24x squared. My b term is negative 11 now, x, and my a term is 6. I'm going to keep it with x, so 6x over, 6x over. Now we can say, what can we multiply to get 24 and add to get negative 11? And that's going to be so much better than whatever 18 times 12 is. So 24, what do you have? You have 12 and 2, you have 8 and 3, right? 8 and 3 makes 11. It's just that I need a negative, I need when you multiply to be positive. So to get a positive answer from multiplying, they're probably both going to be negatives. Negative 8 times negative 3 is positive 24, and negative 8 plus negative 3 is negative 11. So there it is, negative 8 and negative 3. So negative 8 and negative 3. And now we're done except simplifying. Both 6 and 8 will divide evenly by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 and 3 both divide evenly by 3 itself. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So here's the deal though. When you write your answer, the 3x minus 4 times the 2x minus 1, you factored out that 3 earlier, and it still needs to be a part of your final answer. I hope you don't forget that. So we pulled it out to make this part simpler, but it still has to be there. Like, it's still pulled out. So just make sure if you pull it out, you remember to write it down here in your final answer. All right, let's practice this a few more times. It's basically the same thing. We're just, if you factor something out, it still has to be out there in your answer. All right, so here's a couple more last ones. Let's look at this one. So is there a greatest common factor we can pull out of 8, 36, and 20? I think 4. 4? 4 is the greatest common factor. So if we pull out a 4, what we're left with is 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. So now we're going to use the diamond method for just this inside part, but we're going to remember the 4 on our answer. So we're going to take that 4 and don't forget it. We're going to stick it on your answer after we've done this diamond method with just the inside part. So 2x squared times negative 5 is negative 10x squared. Bring down your negative 9x for the b term. Ax over would be 2x over, 2x over. All right, what can we multiply to get 10, negative 10, and add to get negative 8? So factors of 10, 10 and 1, that's going to be it, because 10 and 1 will give us 9 some way. We need to multiply and get a negative. So that means we're going to have one of each. So we're either going to have negative 10, positive 1, or positive 10, negative 1. Which one of these could you add to get negative 9? That would be this one. So we need a negative 10 and a positive 1. So negative 10 and positive 1. This one's already simplified, so it's ready to go. This one can be simplified by dividing by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And now it's ready to go. So we have 1x minus 5 times 2x plus 1. And don't forget to bring down that 4 that we had pulled out earlier. 4 has to be there on the outside of your simplified, factored answer. All right, last one. If you want to push pause and try this one on your own, that would be awesome. If not, it's totally fine. I'm going to work it out with you. All right, what can we pull out? Let's see if we can factor out a greatest common factor of 9, 3, and 30. I think it's 3. So if we pull out a 3, that's going to shorten up the work we have to do, which is always a good idea. It would leave 3r squared plus 1r minus 10. All right, so now when we do the diamond method, we're only worrying about this inside part, but we're going to remember that 3 on our final answer. All right, 3r times negative 10 is negative 30r squared. This is just 1r for our b term. A term is 3r over. All right, here we go. What can we multiply and become 30? And when you add, it's 1. Well, negative 30. We'll get to that part in a minute. Okay, let me give you a hint. Anytime you're adding to get 1, it's going to be numbers that are right next to each other, like 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, because those you could easily subtract and they're only 1 apart from each other. So if you're thinking of 30, it's not going to be like 3 and 10, because those are not going to give you 1. They're not 1 apart. But 5 and 6 are definitely 1 number apart. So 5 times 6 is 30, and 6 minus 5 is 1. Now let's figure out the positives, negative stuff. When we multiply, we need it to be negative. The only way to multiply and be negative is one of each. So we're either going to have negative 5, positive 6, or positive 5, negative 6. Which one will give us a positive 1 when added? It's going to be this one. When you add, that one's going to be positive 1. So I need a negative 5 and a positive 6 down here. Negative 5, positive 6. All right, these won't simplify, so it's done. These will simplify. They'll both divide evenly by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So now that one's done. So we have 3r minus 5 and r plus 2. Don't forget to bring down that 3 to your answer, though. We factored it out earlier to make our work here easier, but it's still part of the factored answer. Okay.